All right. Good morning, everyone. Hello to all of our distinguished panelists and to all of our viewers from across America. Whether you're a middle school or high school student athlete, a loving parent of that student athlete, an academic professional, athletic professional, an Athlete Foundry secret admirer, there are many of you out there, or someone who just cares about helping kids build a better version of themselves despite what life throws at them. Welcome to Athlete Foundry's Fall 2020 Youth Athletics Thought Leader Panel. My name is Casey Chipwide, CEO and founder of Athlete Foundry, and your moderator for today's event. We've assembled an inspiring, gritty, and down-to-earth group of professionals to talk about the state of youth athletics in the face of COVID-19, to unpack the challenges student athletes face, to shine a ridiculously bright light on hope and how to turn that hope into a plan to make progress now, not tomorrow, but now. It is my humble privilege to introduce our panelists. Let me start. I'm going to first start with Aileen Bailey. Aileen is an accomplished USC track and field student athlete, athletically and academically, former Olympian representing Jamaica in the 2004 and 8 Olympics, earning the gold medal in relay in 2004. Aileen is currently a library assistant and a track coach at Cane Bay High School in South Carolina. Good morning, Aileen. Dr. Bobo Blankson, a United States Air Force veteran currently practicing medicine as an adolescent medicine, positive psychology, and positive medicine specialist at the Girls to Women plus Young Men's Health and Wellness Clinics in Dallas. Bobo has countless healthcare, obesity, sports injuries, and energy drink-related peer-reviewed publications, the New York Times, HuffPost, CNN, Time Magazine, Forbes, and others. Bobo is also a member of Athlete Foundry's Board of Advisors. Corey Taylor. Corey began his career as a science teacher for the Inglewood Unified School District in California, then shifting to Bright Star Schools, also in the Los Angeles area, where he eventually served as principal. Corey moved to Richmond, Virginia in 2018 to become the founding principal and chief academic officer at Cristo Rey Richmond High School, a career that continues to impact thousands of students and families, and more to come. DJ Burns, a former collegiate and international professional baseball player, DJ used his progressive life experiences to serve with a purpose-driven mindset as the athletic administrator for Uniontown Area School District in Pennsylvania. DJ is also the founder of Athletic State of Mind, which pursues the advancement of athletes in and out of sports. DJ is also a member of Athlete Foundry's Board of Advisors. Kadivas Robinson, a phenomenal TCU cross-country athlete on and off the field, a two-time Olympian, multiple U.S. national championship accolades, former head cross-country coach at LSU, UNLV, Team USA, traveled to Edmonton, El Salvador, London, founder of multiple youth athletic organizations. Kadivas is a speaker and author and current head cross-country coach at The Ohio State University. Marcus Ogden, an accomplished collegiate football athlete from Howard University and pro football player who played for the Jacksonville Jaguars, Baltimore Ravens, Buffalo Bills, Tennessee Titans. Marcus has amazing highs and terrible lows, to include filing bankruptcy due to some missteps in his thriving construction business. He rebuilt himself in a profound way, inspiring student athletes and professionals. Marcus is a speaker and author and a member of Athlete Foundry's Brand Ambassador Squad. Dr. Sam Manier, a well-traveled and licensed sports psychologist who specializes in sports psychology and leadership development. Sam has spent over 20 years with professional, collegiate, and youth athletes in just about every sport under the sun. He was the team sports psychologist for the Cleveland Browns, the Ohio State University, Washington State University, and the University of Akron, plus the league sports psychologist for the former Alliance of American Football League. Sam is a speaker and author and founder and president of the Center for Peak Performance. Sam is also a member of Athlete Foundry's Board of Advisors. Zara Northover, a multi-sport athlete, notably track and field athlete, powerfully accomplished Northeastern University collegiate athlete who participated in shot put, weight throw, hammer, discus, and javelin. Former Olympian representing Jamaica in 2008 Olympics, current speaker, project manager at Quicken Loans, and founder of moving in faith. Zara was also a member of Athlete Foundry's brand ambassador squad. And last but not least, Robert Churchwell, an accomplished Georgetown University collegiate, NBA, and international professional basketball player who took his life experiences and passion to serve the community by coaching at the secondary and college preparatory levels for decades, now serving as the athletic director for Cristo Rey Richmond High School in Virginia. All right, I mean, I can't say enough about what we've assembled. I can probably just walk away and they can have an outstanding conversation just by themselves. I feel in awe to have such amazing humans assembled today. So I'm excited to have those conversations. On behalf of Athlete Finder, we are absolutely grateful that each of you have decided to spend some time with us today and participate in a much needed conversation about education and athletics in the face of COVID-19. We must talk about both. Is there hope? Can progress be made? How can I stay focused on my student athlete journey when the world seems to have thrown a massive murky monkey wrench right at my face? Before we dive into the panel conversation, I'd like to briefly introduce Athlete Foundry for the audience at large. We are an EdTech company hyper-focused on empowering every student athlete and their parent to see, track, and build a better journey to collegiate athletics while building options from NCAA Division I to junior college. Our fully online platform gives parents of middle and high school student athletes a 6th through 12th grade roadmap that lets them build what we call your most comprehensive ATHUMADEMIC resume. That's athletic, human, and academic all smashed together in a holistic view. Why? To do 3 things. 1, improve your odds to be a collegiate athlete. 2, increase your college financial assistance potential. And 3, help you prepare for life after sports, regardless of current athletic ability and regardless of your zip code. As we say at Athlete Foundry, if you make a mental commitment of discipline, consistency, and put in the work, I promise you there is a spot for you somewhere, period. You need a plan, set goals, capture your progress, and be willing to make course corrections along the way. Easy said, hard to do. So what is our theme today? That there is more in your control than you think. Pursuing the collegiate athlete dream despite COVID-19. Progress can, must, and should always continue. We've assembled very talented, passionate, and experienced professionals across our 3 pillars that we define every student athlete. That's athletic, academic, and human. And that's what you see here in front of you is all of those individuals who represent those 3 pillars in a powerful way. To have really a meaningful and blunt conversation about progress and do it with creative solutions, which is what we must strive for today. So what are some of those ugly challenges that COVID-19 has created? Mental health and wellness issues, not having access to maybe gyms, workout places, not having access to coaches, many places, lack of guidance from coaches perhaps, not playing with my team because maybe the season's delayed or canceled, not having access to on-campus learning environment. Those are all things that affect every family, every student athlete in different ways. Now, what are ways that we can take command of our future? What are some empowering truths that remind us there is a way and there's way more in control than we think? The things to eat better, to sleep better, perhaps even breathe better, and journal better helps with mental performance. The student athlete journey must be holistic and it must be 365. It's a mindset. It doesn't just turn on and off just because you're in season, off season, in school or out of school. It does not matter and it should not matter. There's always a way to work on your skills despite not having a gym. Absolutely. So get a plan, setting goals, capturing progress, and making adjustments. Create a daily, weekly schedule, for example, doing your homework, doing extra reading and asking the right questions to whomever you can ask to, whether it's your teachers or coaches or friends or mentors. Why? Because all of this helps what we call, let you build a holistic attractiveness to collegiate coaches. All right, panelists, we're going to boil it down to 4 bulletproof questions that will help us get to the ground truth and allow each of you to lend your perspectives to help our middle and high school student athletes and their families make real progress despite what is happening at school and in athletics these days. So let's get right after it. First, I'm going to pull in Corey. Corey, the question for you is why and how do I keep learning when my school situation is uncertain?
Thank you, Casey. That's a very valid question. And I would posit that many people's jobs and overall financial stability are uncertain as well. But in terms of how it relates to the students and parents of school-age children that are with us, I would say that now more than ever is the time that education matters. There's a portion of the population that has all of the resources it needs for their children to be successful in a virtual world. They have space for multiple children to work independently. They have adequate Wi-Fi. And most importantly, they have a parent or a caretaker that is able to be at home with them that can offer the needed support. These children will more than likely find success in the virtual world. But on the other hand, there's another portion of the population that may not have all of the resources it needs for all of the children in their household to achieve at the same levels of success, whether that's the adequate workspace, reliable internet, or even sufficient food for everyone for every meal. To top it off, there may not be an adult in the home that can offer the needed support because most likely they're essential workers. So there's a strong possibility that without the proper setup and appropriate resources, these students might fall behind. And the chances for recuperating that lost information are beyond fathomable. So why do you keep learning? None of us are certain how long this pandemic is going to last, right? The fact that most of us ended school 3 months early has already widened that achievement gap. We need to offer all students equitable instruction with equal access to the curriculum so that those students in that second example don't fall further behind, thereby decreasing their chances to access to higher education, better paying jobs, adequate health care, and a better overall quality of life. So that's the why. The how, there are 4 ways that I'll talk about for the how. And I think that this will help level the playing field. First, it's vital for the parents that are on this call to review the policies that your individual school or school district has provided you. Whether they have chosen to go fully virtual, fully in person, or a hybrid, the plan on reopening has been shared with you, or it must be shared with you. And this information should be reviewed with your child and the expectations for showing up to class understood and adhered to. Second, please ensure that your child has a dedicated and adequate space to work that is preferably not the bed, right? This is school for the foreseeable future, and their attendance is still required. And third, students, please maintain a regular schedule. So being at home might feel as though it isn't really school or that you'll have plenty of time to get your assignments done. But what may be missing are those in-person interactions that you typically have with instructors or those frequent check-ins, and you think that you have more time than you do have to get those assignments done. So you have to create a schedule of when you are going to work and when you're going to plan to get those assignments done. And lastly, I would strongly suggest a regular check-in on your school's platform for posting grades, whether it's PowerSchool, Schoology, Canva, Illuminate, Google Classroom, whatever system your respective school uses. Just make sure that you check in on that. So many schools require grade book updates weekly, so a weekend check should suffice. And so that is the how and the why I think education should still be approached in this day and age.
I love that, Corey. Thank you so much. Wonderful insights, practical, reasonable, and manageable. Really, the bed. I'll admit, really, that's the hardest thing to do. Of course, is don't use the bed as your office or for the kids. I think I have to go talk to my kids now. And schedule. You know, that's such an important piece, Corey. I'm just going to touch on that before we move on. Is the schedule piece? That's tough. And if you talk about leveling the playing field and what creates discipline, what creates habit forming things are those small things like schedule. And really that doesn't take, yes, if you have technology, that's awesome. If you've got a calendar online, there's multiple platforms. Our platform, in fact, has a very full functioning calendar in it too. For that reason is we really want to help our student athletes understand the idea of time management. And time
Hmm.
management comes from simply saying, putting on the calendar when I'm going to do something. And it's sort of a promise to yourself, right, Corey? I think is to say, I'm going to do homework at this time. I'm going to take a snack break at this time. I encourage my kids, and I've talked to lots of other kids and say, put in everything. Put in everything that you think you want to put in, including when you want to go out for a stretch, when you go for a walk, when you want to go take snack time. Put that all in, and let's kind of put that into motion. What do you think, Corey?
Yeah, absolutely. So I know we have like a chalkboard wall, whatever the case may be. If it's a whiteboard, if it's a sheet of paper that you put on the refrigerator, whatever the case may be, a schedule with highlighted areas for when you actually do take those breaks. So you set your goal, and then when you reach that mark, then okay, I can get up and I can get a cookie or get it out or whatever the case may be. So you have to set what you have to do, then set that goal, and you can get your reward at that time, if it's an ice cream cone or whatever it is. But you don't get that if you don't reach those levels. But I think that if you have it in a prominent place, like I said, whether if it's on the refrigerator, if it's wherever the most frequent gathering spaces in your home, because it's not just you as the child, it's the child and the parent or the grandparent or whoever the caretaker might be, and you have to hold each other accountable. You really can't do it by yourself, and it really requires a village to help us get through this time right now.
Yeah, absolutely right, Corey. And I cannot understate the value, or overstate the value rather, of calendar. It's that simple and important. And of course, following it is important tremendously. And we have lots of ways to get reminders today. And so I think that's such a great thing that takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. So
Mhm.
thank you very much, Corey. We'll come back based on time, but thank you so much for sharing the
Definitely.
value and importance of academics, and just regardless of what that situation is. And I've spoken to so many families across America as part of our Athlete Foundry Reach, and it's amazing to hear the phenomenal spectrum of situations. They're just all over the place. And so, Ricky, what are those fundamental things that boil it down to say you don't need super fancy things to do certain behavioral traits to move forward? And I love the schedule piece. Thank you so much, Corey.
Of course.
Let's move on to our next question, and I'm going to ask Sam and Bobo to kind of answer for their perspectives on these two. First, Sam, and that is, how and why do I stay focused on progress when I feel sad or worried? And there's certainly a lot to be sad and worried for these days, depending on where you live, what families or friend situations you have. There's a lot going through kids and their parents' heads. So, Sam, love to hear your perspectives.
Sure. Thanks for the question. Yeah, obviously, or maybe not obviously, we are seeing an increase in anxiety. I'm certainly seeing that in my clients. And I think first and foremost is to address the sadness or anxiety rather than just ignoring it. I think the tendency sometimes is to shove it deep inside, and it's not going to go anywhere. That's for sure. So it will rear its ugly head in another way. I think what many people are going through is probably some guilt right now. There's this vicious cycle of feeling not feeling unmotivated or not motivated right now. I can attest to that personally. And so then you feel guilty for maybe not feeling motivated, and then that leads to maybe skipping a training session, and that leads to more guilt. Now I skipped a training session, and then maybe that leads to a week, and before you know it, you've dug yourself in this hole, and that guilt is certainly only going to exacerbate any anxiety or sadness that you might be experiencing. So, I'd encourage people to journal. If you're an Athlete Foundry member, you can certainly use the journal on the platform, and if not, good old notebook, certainly works as well. But I think it's important to get your feelings out. I think it's a great opportunity to reassess goals. And here I'm talking more on process-oriented goals as opposed to outcome. For one, we don't know what the upcoming season even will look like. But it's a good opportunity to reassess why you participate in your sport. What are some ways you are trying to improve? Something I ask my clients a lot is, what's the scouting report on you? What's the other team say about how to beat you? Let's use this time now to improve on some of those things. I have a client who the way to beat them is to play physical against them and knock them down and get in their head, right? So why not take this opportunity to get stronger? Work on some of those things. The last thing I'll say is it's a great opportunity to, if you're struggling with your motivation, to maybe have some friendly competition with your teammates, friends, and challenges. That you can, it's always easier to do when you know you're not in it alone. And so when that even you may not be able to do it physically with one another, but if you know that your teammate is going through some of the same pain and going through the same training session, I think that helps. Or if you need to, motivate yourself, maybe it's, little rewards. This is something that I use. I've got a little mini Gatorade bottle here that, every day I set a goal and I drop a penny in there, and I've got these little lines around here. When I get to a certain line, I reward myself with something, maybe it's an ice cream or some sort of treat, So if you need that carrot, so to speak, certainly go with it. I'm never an advocate for lots of extrinsic rewards, but a little bit here and there can certainly help jumpstart you.
Thank you, Sam. There seems to be an ice cream theme here somewhere. So,
I don't know. Ice cream is being consumed at much higher rates during the quarantine. So maybe that's what it is.
I attest to that. So, you're absolutely right. The two things I certainly love what you said. Everything you said was powerful. Journaling, and whatever term you want to call it. Maybe it's not a powerful term by itself. There's other words to use for journaling, but writing down your notes and your thoughts are absolutely powerful. And you've shown that to us in the past, Sam, without a doubt, whether it's just a young child, even in elementary school, quite frankly, just writing down your thoughts is very therapeutic in a sense. And so call it whatever you want to make you feel great that I'm writing some notes down. Without a doubt. And I love the idea of challenging friends. It's so powerful. Even in a virtual world, there's absolutely ways to do that, whether it's a physical challenge, a reading challenge, or a combination of a challenge that kind of spans all of them. I think that is a very powerful thing. I'll tell you that you hit an interesting point, Sam, that personally hit us at home last night. In fact, I think we had bubbled up a lot of feelings for a while with kids not having access to their friends for a while, and just had a very deep conversation or emotional release with one of my daughters yesterday, and just this bent up feeling for a while. We had no idea it was bottled up for a while, and we just had to have that raw conversation, and we need to still have that raw conversation. So we're going through that as well, but we will absolutely get through this 100% undoubtedly, and its ability for us to just listen a little bit more to our kids. But we have definitely set some great goals for them, and we're executing those to the best of our ability. So thank you, Sam.
Sure. Yeah, Casey, it's a balance between processing and coping, or processing and distraction. Too much processing and we're emotionally a wreck. Too much distraction or coping, and then we're not really dealing with the issues. So you really got to find that balance.
Yeah, and the balance is the fulcrum is never in the middle; it's always adjusting. So I think the infamous the balance. There's no such thing as it's in the center. It has to adjust. So thank you, Sam. Bobo, love to hear your perspectives and your view, because you certainly see lots of young girls, young women, young men in middle and high school through your practice. Love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, thanks, Casey. So much of what Sam said was just, right on point. At the beginning of this pandemic, it was actually really interesting. I saw something different, something that I didn't expect at the beginning. Instead of seeing, sadness and anxiety, what I actually saw was the opposite. I saw a lot of happiness and joy. And what was interesting about that was that young people, my patients and others, were actually getting more sleep. They were waking up and having breakfast with their parents, and they were less stressed about school. And it was really remarkable to me. And, you know, I stopped and said to myself, wow, you know, we've been running around like chickens with our heads cut off, whether it's the practices and our sports and school. And when all that sort of went away for a little bit, there was sort of this like, whoa, you know, there are things I can focus on that really make me feel good. As this has dragged on, I have seen this increase though in lower mood and some anxiety for a lot of the reasons that Sam talked about. I think in my practice, and when I see these patients really struggling, what I like to try to remind them first is that, look, there's this global pandemic and there are all of the things that are out of your control. You know, you are not in control of this virus. You are not in control of your school. You are not in control of the sports system. You need to focus on what you can control. And as a doctor, I really lay it out fairly simply to my patients into two broad categories. I say, hey, you can focus on some healthy habits and you can focus on some happy habits, okay? The healthy habits are very, very clear. You've got sleep, you have diet, and you have screen time and exercise. And exercise usually isn't that big of an issue for my patients because they've got their practices and they've got their routine. But in terms of sleep and diet and screen time, I really try to hone on some really important things. One, that they're young, growing individuals and they need at least 9 hours of sleep. And like I said, it was amazing at the beginning of this, man, they were all getting 9, 10 hours of sleep. Now I'm starting to hear this, you know, yeah, I'm getting my 9 hours of sleep, but I go to bed at 3 a.m. and I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. You're an athlete. How are you going to go to bed at 3 after playing, you know, Fortnite with your buddies till, you know, 2 a.m. and then wake up at wake up for a practice at 8 a.m. and be your best self? And they're like, oh, Dr. B, you're so right. Right? Like, sleep is important. They're still kind of getting it, but really trying to remind them, hey, lock this in, get a schedule, as Sam talked about. We need schedules, as Corey talked about. We've got to have a schedule. Get to bed at a reasonable time, wake up at a reasonable time so that you can be your best self. We talk about diet, and I'm not going to talk about ice cream, even though it's wonderful. I'm a doctor. I'm going to talk about fruits and veggies, guys, right? I'm telling my patients to lock in and say, hey, get that LeBron diet, as I call it. You know, if you've ever been on his Instagram and you see his, you know, fruits and lean protein and, you know, all that stuff, eat well, eat healthy. There's amazing research that even shows that an increase in your fruits and vegetables, eating, you know, 5+, 6+ servings a day actually boosts your happiness. So I'm telling my patients, hey, if you're feeling down, don't just check your sleep, check your appetite, check your diet, make sure that you're getting in those fruits and vegetables, okay? And then screen time. This is one of my favorites because it is an albatross for all of us. We live in a digital age, and, you know, here we are doing a web meeting. We're on our screens, and, you know, our young people are on their screens even more, right? They use social media to interact with each other. They play video games. And as a pediatrician, you know, we're taught to say, hey, you know, entertainment screen time should really be limited to about 2 hours a day. Well, I mean, that's kind of gone out the window, right, with this pandemic. I mean, nobody's spending 2 hours just on entertainment screen time. But what I'm really telling my patients to say is this: make sure that that screen time is intentional, okay? Make sure that if you're doing that, that it's social. I think because so many of our young people are being asked to, you know, not do the typical things that they used to do with their friends in terms of hanging out, that, hey, if you're going to be on a screen, if you're going to play a game, play it with a friend, be more engaging. I actually had a patient who was like, you know, Dr. B, we don't have practice right now, but every time I die in Fortnite, I drop and do, you know, 20 push-ups and 20 sit-ups. Fortnite workout. I love it. I love it. You know, using your screen time to also stay in shape and stay fit and active. I'm all about that. So those are 3 really practical things that I think our young people can really be focused on. And then really quickly, those were the healthy habits. I've got the happy habits too. And the happy habits, we've kind of already touched on some of them. I think journaling is powerful, right? If you stop and journal about one meaningful moment of your day. I tell kids all the time, you don't need 10 minutes to journal. I think they think that you need to write an essay. No, it can be word salad. Like, Oh, I was at practice today. I hit 14 free throws in a row. I crossed over that kid. Whatever it is, just put down some happy, meaningful moments. And what's amazing about the science of that is when you go back and read that, right? The same areas of your brain light up and reactivate as if you're experiencing that awesome moment again. That's why journaling is powerful, okay? The other one is gratitudes. I like to do this with my kids every night. We're going to do 3 things that we're grateful for and why. It can be so hard during this pandemic to find that happiness, to find those things that are meaningful. But if we teach ourselves to scan the world for positivity, I guarantee that science proves that it makes your brain more positive, and a positive brain is more active, more powerful, more successful, okay? And then lastly, I love meditation. I think that you touched on this, Casey, just breathing, learning to breathe, learning to take that 2 minutes out of your day, close your eyes, watch your breath go in and out. The science behind that is powerful too. You reduce your own anxiety and you actually ripple that effect out to everybody around you. So journaling, gratitude, meditation, those are actual things that are under your control. While you're feeling anxious, while you're feeling stressed, while you're wondering what's going on in the world, if you can lock in those happy habits and those healthy habits, you can really, experience, I think, a lot of success during this time.
Thanks, Bobo. Loved all of it. Healthy habits and happy habits, 2 categories of great things that can be implemented in a very simple, easy way. Particularly, you mentioned the breathing piece. I've seen some news, both articles and news clips and shows that have in fact shown schools, elementary schools and middle schools and high schools that have integrated breathing and, quite frankly, I recently saw a meditation integrated to the school time itself. Absolutely powerful. It may sound, of course, kids are kids, right? It's going to sound a hokey, and even, quite frankly, us probably going, I don't want to do this. It's kind of embarrassing, but it has proven, even a few minutes a day, amazingly powerful. I think I just saw something recently in the news of a principal, in fact, in their morning call and on the speaker, they actually have the entire school quiet for about 2-3 minutes, and they're playing some Mozart music, I think it is, but everyone is told to kind of close your eyes and go into this Zen mode, if you will, and really kind of resets everyone, because everyone comes from home, from different situations. It may not have been ideal, and things are chaotic maybe, and so this is their time to reset before school starts. So I just thought that was powerful. And journaling, again, I'll say that if you're a Star Wars fan, or Star Trek, I should say, kids are as well. You can call it the captain's log if you want, and journal. So there's so many different things you can call it that are powerful. So thank you, Bobo. I really appreciate that. Let's move on to our next question. And now we're going to get into the term we call holistic attractiveness. So how and why do I build holistic attractiveness to collegiate coaches? And actually, I'm going to start with Robert first on this. So Robert, your thoughts.
Thank you, Casey. I really love hearing the comments of Bobo and Sam and Corey, the way they all started us off. I heard a lot about focusing on community from Bobo. Sam and Corey talked about goals. You started us off talking about discipline. And I believe all that, encompasses the holistic side of things. I'm gonna kind of switch it a little bit though, because being in secondary education, I come in contact with a lot of, obviously, parents, middle school and high school parents. And I would like to say that a large part of what I do is making the parents understand that they need to practice positive thinking, community, focusing on discipline. I can't tell you how many times as a coach, as an athletic director, as a recruiter, I've had college coaches tell me or ask me, is that his parent? Is that her parent? And not in a good way, right? So a lot of what I do is communicate and have workshops with the parents. Hey, listen, your child has an opportunity, but there are 100,000 other kids or children or athletes out there, right? So you need to make sure, okay, that holistically the package, your child, and everything that comes with them are ready. And so I think the discipline is the main part. Now, going back to the athlete, especially now in the time of COVID, I'm also an AAU coach. And so my boys have been itching for months and months and months to get back on the court. This is where I had a t-shirt on yesterday called, it said, keeping it old school. So what I would tell them, hey, when I was your age, I'll have the ball in my hand, I'm running up and down my neighborhood dribbling, okay? So what are you doing? You're working on your cardio, right? You're getting outside, you're outside, you're getting your air, you're getting that vitamin D, and you're working on your skills, okay? The other thing, Bobo mentioned, he had a client who every time he lost in Fortnite, right, he dropped down and do his push-ups. Same thing, I have a 16-year-old son, he's playing Madden. Every time he got scored on, come on, that's 20 push-ups, So it's about bringing fun ways to bring all that in. From a holistic standpoint also is your mentality. I have a saying in all my classes, hey, we uplift in here, right? We uplift each other in here, right? So it's about having positive thoughts, thinking positive thoughts. And that's not always easy, right? It's a learned behavior. But going back to the parents, if we model what we want our kids to see, then it becomes a lot easier for the student athletes.
Thank you, Robert. Wow, you dropped some great stuff there. And I really love, Robert, I love your view of holistic attractiveness that not just spans the student athlete, athletic, academic, and human trifecta, but you actually integrated in the idea that the parent or the guardian, whoever that parent figure is, has a role to play in the attractiveness and reputation. Yeah, you're absolutely right. There's countless articles. Right? You can start with a helicopter parent perspective. You can do, and absolutely what you said resonated when we've talked to collegiate coaches across America. Absolutely have shared their sort of concern when they see prospective student athletes. They've said the same thing. They said, is that your parent? Or is that your parent? Or is that your parent? And there's a reason why they're saying that. It's not just for introductions, because they have a feeling and a reputation already in the interaction that's made. So really, really powerful. And I tell you what, keeping it old school, love that quote. And without a doubt, that's what we're doing in my home. Guess what? You know what? Before gyms, there was a thing called outdoors. There's a thing called the ground, the concrete, the parking lot.
Right.
I don't care where you're at. Guess what? You can absolutely, what I call, go Spartan style anywhere and build your skill, and no matter what skill it is, whether it's dribbling, whether it's strength, whether it's cardio. There's so many great things to continue to build your skill. You don't need to be hampered and chained down to this concept of this gym. I think that's just old school and wrong. So love that perspective, Robert. Thank you so much for sharing your wonderful thoughts and ideas. So with that, same question, love to ask Khadivas for his perspectives. Khadivas, love to hear your thoughts.
Well, I think in life, there are two major moments in the person's life: the moment they were born and the moment they realize why they were born. You see, if you understand your why, if you understand why you're doing something, you understand why you're playing a sport, why you're majoring in that major, then it gives you a little bit more fuel to do whatever you're doing, no matter what the circumstances are, no matter what comes your way, because we cannot control the circumstances all the time, right? So what I've told my student athletes now is, in a time of uncertainty, be certain in yourself. And what does that mean? It means that, there's going to be times in which you're going to be, that it's going to be uncertain. There's going to be uncertain things that happen. I can relate back to when I was competing. Sometimes I'll be over in Europe and I would get confused on the timing or the schedule of the buses or whatever the situation may be. And I had to adjust. Or maybe they would do things in different languages that I didn't understand, and I had to adjust. So in times of uncertainty, when I would get to the track or get to the field, and maybe I only had 20 minutes to warm up, the only thing I could be certain in at those times was myself. And it always went back to my why. You know, why am I running? Why am I competing? Why am I putting so much into this? So as parents and student athletes, when you do decide to go to college and you do decide to major in whatever you're going to major in, when you do decide to pick whatever school you're going to pick, when you do face challenges, and trust me, you're going to face them, go back to your why. Go back to why it was so important for you to pick that particular coach or that particular school or that particular city. And then also go back to, you know, what are you trying to accomplish with that? You know, what is your long-term goal? And once you have that long-term goal focused on, then it's going to help you be able to get through these uncertain times. And to me, that's a holistic approach. Always going back to center, always going back to, again, WHY, your why you're doing things. And usually that will propel you to continue to move forward. You know, I always say a distracted mind is a defeated mind. And how do you keep from being distracted? Really focusing on your why.
Davis, that is powerful. You know, we have heard the why a lot out there in the industry. There's books on the why, but you know what, Davis, your take on that really resonates with me, and you shaped that message in your two statements you made. You're born, and then why were you born? And that actually looking at it from that statement is different than simply someone saying, find your why.
Exactly.
You have to start with the two things that are known. You're born, and then why were you born? I love that. It just really puts a bite, just a raw bite on that. It really does. Love that. And I love your distracted piece. Boy, I can't tell you how many times our kids are distracted on things, and to understand that that is a failed mind or a defeated mind. I love that also view. Wonderfully right. You're right. You're right that in all your travels, Khadivas, there are countless minor challenges, big challenges. Sorry, it didn't work out this way, or hey, you got to hurry up. You only have a few minutes left. And you know, you have two choices, right? You let it succumb you, or you power through it. And without a doubt, you've powered through it. So love that. Thank you so much, Khadivas, for those sound bites. Are powerful, reasonable, and doesn't matter what situation you grow up in, small town America, big town America, it does not matter. So love that, Khadivas. Thank you so much for sharing that. Let's round out to, I'm sorry, go ahead. Anything else, Khadivas?
I was just saying, my pleasure. I like the fact that you said it doesn't matter what environment you came from. And that's for me, that's the beauty of athletics. You're going to get individuals. When I was at the 2012 Olympic Games, I was most excited to see Gabby Douglas. And, you know, here's this young lady who's about this tall, but she can run and jump and do flips and land on her feet, right? But then you also had shot putters who was, 6'5", 300 and some pounds. So you have the whole gamut. So when you're in a situation like that, or any situation in life, when you see massively successful people, what's the difference? And it's their mindset, right? They have a champion's mindset. And if you can develop that by doing what Bobo and a lot of individuals, Corey and everyone has said on here, then that's going to propel you to move forward during these challenging times, and the challenging times that's going to be that we got ahead of us.
Absolutely. 100,000%. Thank you. Absolutely very much. Awesome. Let's move on to our fourth and final question. And I'm going to start with Marcus first on that one, which is why and how do I create a plan? I stick to it, right? This idea of commitment, and then ask for help, because we all need help. So Marcus, love your thoughts.
Casey, you make a really awesome point where in order to achieve success as a young student athlete, middle school, high school, going to the future, you have to know the vision or the mission of what you are trying to do. And that is where, when you know what the mission and the vision is, you need to then create a plan to achieve that mission. I tell my clients all the time, having a strategic plan of knowing what you want to do in life is fantastic. But how about the tactical plan, the every day, the every week, the every month, every year you need to do to get to where you want to go in life? So creating a plan is setting the foundation and the blueprint of your own success. Like you talk about, Casey, all the time, Athlete Foundry is a roadmap. You say it all of the time. And if you don't have a roadmap or a plan for your life, how are you gonna know where you're gonna go? Like, you're just gonna be wandering through life with no purpose, with no passion, and no vision. And that's what so many people who are not successful in life, they do. They play the victimization game. Oh, coach doesn't like me, or coach doesn't think this of me, or my teacher gave me this grade. No, you earned that grade. You earned the way the coach looks at you. Robert talked about, I've known Robert since I was born, for the most part, and I know his dad. I know exactly how the family is. Old school, it's right. Robert had a plan for his life that he created because he saw his father have success, and he wanted to be a great athlete as a young man. And he's done that, and he's accomplished greatness. So the real part is you create a plan, Casey, by writing things down and keeping yourself on track. Again, I think journaling is awesome, but I love when you journal and you actually write it out. Because when you actually write it out, you make yourself accountable to yourself. So typing things in is okay, but when you actually write it out in your handwriting, in your own words, and you can see the cursive or the print, what happens is you say, oh man, I wrote these down. I need to hold myself accountable to get there. So what you need to do as a young student athlete, create a plan and follow it. Write down what you're gonna do on a daily basis. Like Bobo said, get enough sleep, eat more vegetables and fruit. Get a good people around you that have the same goals that you do. If people around you have an alignment of a shared vision, the chance of you achieving that vision go up. If people around you don't have your vision, don't have your work ethic, don't have your drive, don't expect to get to the top. I heard about LeBron. LeBron is always going to do what he has to do from a diet perspective, a food perspective. God knows I don't like the person. Tom Brady, in his early 40s, has the same work ethic. That's what he does. I lost him 5 times in my career, so, sometimes a little bit personal when you say these things, but it's okay. But in reality, everyone who's great, like Khadiva said it, you set a plan, you write things out, and if you need help, don't be afraid to ask for help. That is what our young people think today. Oh, I ask for help, that's weakness. No, it's actually very smart. Get a mentor, get some guidance, get someone around you, like the people on this panel, that will pour into you and give you their experiences. That's what makes people great. People hire me, Casey, adults, so they don't make the same mistakes I did. Young student athletes, go get a mentor. Go get someone who's been where you want to go to help guide you down the path. So that is why I feel why you should create a plan, how you stick to it, and if you have trouble, ask for help along the way.
Awesome, Marcus. Powerful words as always. And the things that I capture, obviously fundamental yet powerful, is the idea of a roadmap. Why? Go figure. How cool is that? A roadmap. That you mentioned, surround yourself by good people. In fact, I share this with friends and other colleagues, that there's a scientific study that shows that you are the average of the 5 people that you surround yourself with. And it's true. It is absolutely true in how you talk, how you behave, how you make decisions. And as kids, you absolutely know that it's true, because you could see the little ecosystems of their little circles that they hang around with, and how your kid changes based on that. So without a doubt, absolutely powerful piece, unbelievable. So writing it down, the journaling piece seems like that's a common thing as well. I'm glad you didn't say ice cream in any of your thoughts there, but excellent, Marcus. Wonderful thoughts. Surround yourself by great people. Have that roadmap that is tactical, things that you can do now, and it is not rocket scientist. I promise you that. It is absolutely doable, and hold yourself accountable. So thank you, Marcus. I appreciate it. I'm going to jump to Aileen. Aileen, love your thoughts from your view of the same question.
Pretty much for me, is that you do what honors you. So it's pretty much making sure you have things in place that reflects your goals and your dreams, because sometimes you realize that parents have goals for themselves that they project onto their kids. So you have to figure out how to focus on what you're trying to get done, what's important to you, and then establish your goals and set it, and sit down with your parents, have conversation, just brainstorm on what it is, because you do need advice on certain things, and parents should also make it easy for their kids to come to them with issues that they're having. And then if as a parent you can't handle it, then you have your kid have a coach, a mentor, an aunt, an uncle that understands, or played a sport that understand what your child is going through. Because like right now you have the job of being a parent, a coach, a teacher, so your task is like major, so you might not be able to handle everything that your child is throwing at you. So you have to find other avenue, and the kid has to find other avenue to help them stay motivated. Like for me, if I get distracted, like I love music, so music tends to center me. Depends on the type of music. If I'm trying to like be calm and trying to focus on fixing something that's an issue for me, like working on a technique, I do like soothing music to help my brain just relax and focus and zone in on that issue that I'm having. If I'm trying to get like into what I'm doing to make sure that I stay on task, I listen to high volume music. Like I'm Jamaican, so reggae music is good for me. Bob Marley. I listen to that when I'm trying to get through a workout or staying focused on a workout, because as an athlete, as a young kid, it's hard to stay focused when the workout is hard or when something distracts you. So you have to figure out different avenue of how to keep you zone in on what it is that you're doing, and have weekly meetings with yourself. You know, like videotaping stuff will help you remember, because a lot of kids nowadays is like they're doing the TikToks and all of that stuff, so a lot of them really don't like writing stuff. So you do have video, or you can video yourself, you can do voice notes, make voice notes to yourself, just to help you stay focused on what it is that you're trying to get done, and just set your goals and do everything that is possible for you to attain that.
Awesome, Aileen. Thank you so much. You can see the great piece of what everyone is sharing, and we're not at the end yet, but we're getting close, is some common things that we all hear that are not only foundational, simple, and quite frankly, it doesn't matter what kind of resources the family has or doesn't have, because they truly, truly are those things that are leveling the playing field. The mentor piece you mentioned, the parent willing to listen, and as we all perhaps recognize that not all parents have all the answers. I certainly don't, and a lot of parents don't even understand maybe what steps to take, and that's why they perhaps rely on the coach, and the coach is not there. I can't really get to the coach, or I can't get a hold of my counselor, or my counselor is not really telling me the right answer. There are all kinds of answers, and at the end of the day, it's about understanding that I need to do the right research for myself and keep asking the question, keep finding someone else that I can ask the question to. And just don't say, well, the counselor's not available because school is hectic, or school's not available, and so I'll wait. That's the wrong answer. You're absolutely right. Music, 100%. I think we all can say between gaming and music, our kids are there. Certainly my kids are into music, and so leveraging the music to inspire them emotionally is certainly a proven thing to kick that positive dopamine hit off without a doubt. And the last piece I love, which I hadn't heard before, I like the way you said that, Aileen, which is have a meeting with yourself. That's really cool, actually. And how do you do that in a fun way? I think there's so many cool, fun ways to do that. So thank you so much, Aileen. Really appreciate that. Let's jump to Zara for her perspective on the same question. Zara, I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Thank you, Casey. And thank you everyone for sharing your information. Like, I was jotting down all these gems all day because they sound amazing. But to be honest, when it comes to finding and setting goals, to having visions, everything combined, and having the plan, sticking to it and executing on it, right? you have to be persistent and you have to be able to imagine, right? Like live your end goal every single day. Like there are days where I remember when I was shot putting, I went to the shot put, right? I went to the Olympics for the shot put in 2008. And no matter what was going on in my life, no matter when I tore my meniscus, no matter, and this was all in the same year, right? No matter when I was having a bad practice, there was always this moment that I just saw myself in the Olympic Stadium. I saw myself there. I felt the energy from the crowd. Like it happened already and I was living this dream. I'm always telling people that at night you see your vision, but in the days you're living your dreams. Because in the reality, that's when it's actually taking place. So when you're able to manifest in that way, and see the thing that you want and you desire and have that replay in your mind over and over and over again. And you tell people like you're talking about Power and you're talking about all these other sitcoms and shows that you're watching. Like, girl, did you know that when I make the Olympics, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, right? Like, do you know that when I buy this house by the waterfront, I'm going to get a vote for my family? Do you know when I get this job? Because when you're constantly talking about these things, you're putting it out into the universe. You're putting it out to your family and your friends. So you're manifesting the situation to take place. Because yes, you're gonna have bad days. And what happens when that bad day happens? And I go to Casey and I say, man, you know, I had a crappy practice. You know, I didn't throw that far today. Then Casey's gonna be like, wait, but yesterday you had an amazing practice, right? Don't you remember the other day, like the last 2 days, you were throwing 55, 56, 57, right? Like you kicked behind at that game 2 weeks ago, right? Like, so then now you're friends because you've been talking about it, right? They also have the mirror that they're holding up to remind you of who you are, right? And that's usually what happens is on the journey, we forget. We forget who we are. We forget the reason why we started. We forget because it gets so muddled in sometimes the obstacles that come on track, that get in the way of everything that's happening, right? It's the rain that falls so hard on the screen when you're driving on the highway to get to your destination that you could hardly see. But the truth is that the destination hasn't gone anywhere, right? Like the final belief of what it is that you want and you desire hasn't gone anywhere. It's still there. So you just have to keep moving. And that's where moving in faith, right, came for me and what I believe in. It's being certain of the uncertain. We don't know how we're going to get there, but we know we're going to get there as long as we keep moving forward, right? So whether you're a believer or non-believer, doesn't even matter what your religion is, right? Faith is just knowing that I'm going to give my all and keep moving forward to whatever my dreams or aspirations are. And the only way that I could get there is by allowing myself to surround myself with people, by letting people know what it is that I desire, what it is that I dream, what it is that I see for myself, so they can help have this dream out loud with me, right? Because at night we see the vision, but during the day we are living those dreams. And the only way we could keep moving forward towards us is if we see it in our minds, we keep replaying it no matter what. Because one of the things that my dad used to say, a man is not a failure because he tried and failed, but only because he failed to try, right? So if you don't have a good day today, then you got to get back up and have a better day tomorrow. If someone comes and says something crazy to you and tells you you're not good enough, tell you you're not short, right? You're not tall enough, tells you you're not skinny enough, tells you that you're, like you're not fast enough, then just like my mom says, words are wind, but blows are unkind. So unless they chopped your feet off, no takeouts to Tanya Harding or anybody like that, right? But unless they take you out of the game, like you still have a shot to keep moving forward, right? Like that is the stuff that when you watch Usain Bolt, right, on that line, you see how like excited he is, the energy that he brings. It doesn't matter what nobody has said or nobody has done to him. He keeps it light, he keeps it positive because he sees that vision. And that's the tunnel vision we all need, right? We all need that. I got this, I'm here. I really am my only competitor. No matter what I do, even if I'm on a team or in an individual sport, I am my only competitor. I can only control getting better and better every day. How I communicate with people, how I connect with people, whether you're an Olympic athlete, a high school athlete, a corporate rock star, right? A corporate athlete. Like, it doesn't matter where you are in this life. The principles that you're going to learn along the way is making sure that when you see the vision for yourself, you continue to move forward. You don't allow yourself to not ask for help, right? Because you do need people along the journey. You do need people along the journey, right? You know, like, and that's something that I think sometimes what happens in this day and age, we get so caught up behind those screens, right? So we know how to, I've seen people on Instagram that I've admired, and then I see them in person, and then it's like awkward, right? Like, and you don't want to be like, hey girl, I saw you on Instagram, or hey man, like, you know, like, but why, right? Like, but why not put yourself out there to ask the question? Tell them that you like how their hair looks, right? Reach out to them and say, hey, I saw the skills that you did the other day when you were dribbling, cross dribbling, whatever it may be. Like, you know, how did you do that? Because sharing is what allows us to elevate and move forward. And when we position ourselves to constantly talk about our dreams, our goals, and how we're doing things, then it only makes us better, because one, we're reiterating it to ourselves. Two, we're elevating, right, the talent that we're going up against, our competitors. And if they get better, then it's gonna make me better, right? Because I'm gonna have to find another way and continue to move forward regardless. So when it comes to having the plan, staying consistent, and moving forward, you just have to be certain of the uncertain and keep moving in faith and trust that no matter what, the roadmap doesn't cause the destination, right, to go away if there's obstacles along that road, right? Like, it just means that you gotta push through. Even if you have to pause for a day or two, you're gonna get there. You just gotta keep going, and you never can give up. And make sure that you have those cheerleaders that's along the side of the road. Pick people up from time to time. Kick them out if you got to, right? You don't need the baggage in the back of the car. So no negative, all good vibes. Keep moving forward, and we got this, right? That's how you stay committed.
I love it, Zara. Thank you. I love it. You know, that's a great piece. One thing you mentioned, I'm going to go backwards here, is to have the courage to say goodbye. All right, we talk about bringing people in, and I say this, we have this conversation with our kids. We just had it this morning as well. We were so proud of one of our daughters who had to say the goodbye to someone in their circle because it was a bad influence. Have the courage. We didn't have to tell her anything, but for them to make that decision to say, you're not a good influence on me, and I think that has to start young. It is hard to do because they don't want to be feeling embarrassed or anything of that nature. And I so love that piece. I saw a poster recently that said the only bad workout is the one you didn't do, which is so true. Absolutely, 100%. So love your at night, see the vision in the day, live the dream. Awesome stuff. Absolutely makes sense. Such great stuff that you shared for all middle, high school, and quite frankly, collegiate, professional athletes, as you say, as well as corporate athletes. So it's just great stuff for everyone all around. We all can use that and benefit from that. So thank you, Zara. As we finish up today's call, I'm going to go around one more time and just ask and open the floor for an opportunity for anyone to share a short, quick 5 to 10 seconds, sound bites or parting words that they have, and a shout out. Because we're very grateful for all of you to have joined us, and I'd love for everyone to share their final thoughts with our audience. And then we'll be sharing this through all of our social media as well throughout the next several days and weeks. There'll be great stuff that we're going to share with this. So I'm going to start back at the top with Corey.
Thank you all for your time and your all of your expertise and all of your knowledge. One thing that I would just want to say to all of our parents and students that are listening is mental health. Take care of your mental health, right? This is a time where we are separated from our friends, as we've mentioned a couple of times. And I know that during our initial closure in March, and we were constantly reaching out to our students to make sure that they were okay, checking in with their counselor. It's real. It's real. So we have to make sure that we check on our mental health, check on our friends, and just make sure that we're staying as positive as we can. This will come to an end, and we'll be able to be together soon. But make sure that you check on yourselves and check on your friends.
Hey, that's powerful. Even a short text or phone, but hopefully a phone call is how you doing is also powerful. Thank you, Corey. Sam.
You know, what I love about panels like this is your ideas get to build off of one another. And, you know, so to piggyback off of Corey and Bobo, Bobo, you know, one of the things I wrote down here was your concept of healthy habits and happy habits. And, you know, when I think about my clients, either from a mental health perspective or from a performance enhancement perspective, you know, if there are one thing that I would recommend you all do in those buckets. On the healthy side, as Bobo said, I can't tell you how important sleep is, not only from a mental health standpoint, but from a performance standpoint. You know, I could give you tons of research on how improved sleep leads to the better shooting percentage or speed, or how it decreases stress. And then from the happy, you know, 10 minutes of meditation a day. There's some great apps out there if you don't know how to do it, or if you need someone to walk you through it, or there's great YouTube videos. But if you could put one thing in each of those buckets from me, from a mental health and from a performance enhancement standpoint, it would be get more sleep and meditate every day for 10 minutes.
Awesome. Thank you, Sam. Bobo?
I'm so glad I'm going third because, man, like you guys are amazing. I love this panel. I've learned so much. I loved what Robert talked about with modeling. That's a big part of what I teach in my practice, is looking at ourselves as parents. You know, I've got 3 daughters, and saying, hey, here I am telling them to work on sleep and diet and these things, and I'm not doing them. And you know, I feel like so much of what we've talked about today about the goal setting and about, you know, sleeping and doing all these things, it's for us. It's for the adults. If we do these things, our young people, our young athletes, they can really embrace them and say, hey, this works for my mom, this works for my dad, this works for my teacher, you know, I can do this too. So thank you guys. I've learned a ton today.
Awesome. Thanks, Bobo. Robert?
Yeah, I actually shared the same sentiments as Bobo. I've learned a tremendous amount of information. I was over here taking notes as well. After I get off this call, I got to go do some first grade and some third grade work. So I'm going to model making sure that my kids are doing the extra work that they're supposed to do. But to all the parents, all the kids, everyone, you know, who's listening, I just say, be intentional. Be intentional. Set a goal, make a plan, and be intentional. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Robert. Kadivas?
I've loved teaming up with everyone on here, and I like to leave everyone with, in times of uncertainty, be certain in yourself. And if you don't know how to be certain in yourself, ask your mentor. And if you don't have a mentor, get one.
Love it. Powerful. Absolutely. 1,000%. Boy, can't speak enough about having mentors. So thank you, Kadivas. Marcus?
Hey, this was a great panel, Casey. Thanks for having me on. I'll keep it very short. You have to believe it before you see it. If you don't believe in yourself, you'll never see and manifest the greatness that you desire and you deserve.
Awesome. 100%. Thank you, Marcus. Aileen?
Okay. Yeah. So there's this one thing that there's this one phrase that we were taught when I was in high school in Jamaica. It's pretty much the heights by great men were reached and kept. So the heights by great men were reached and kept were not attained by sudden flight, but they, while their companions slept, were toiling upwards through the night. So if you don't have a mentor, if you don't have someone that's motivating you, motivate yourself. Find ways to motivate yourself, because when, as an athlete, when we're competing, my coach always told me, you're not competing with the person next to you, you're competing with the clock. So you have to compete with yourself and find that if you can't find it in somebody else, then just find that inner strength that you have, that we all have from a young age. So just tap into that, own it, and just work on it.
Love it, Aileen. And love, sweet phrase is compete against yourself. Stop comparing yourself to others. Compete against yourself always. And that goes with kids, that goes with adults. Love it. Thank you, Aileen. Zara?
Have grace. Give yourself grace and extend grace in this time. And it is very important that, you know, if you don't get to do something today, that it will get done then tomorrow, right? Because you're going to do it tomorrow. But we are all going through this new normal, and you are already a champion because ain't none of us lived through a pandemic like this and had to deal with, and NFL being cut and college sports being gone and schools not being in class. Like, you are already a legend. So own that. Own that and be excited every time you wake up thinking how you could do something different to change the trajectory of your life, because you are setting the page that others are going to be looking forward and reading and trying to accomplish, because we are all going to be learning from you, because none of us have gotten through this and had lived through this. And it might be 10, 15, 20, 100 years before it happens again. And you all are going to be the experts, right? So have grace with yourself and figure out those creative ways, because nothing you do is wrong, right? Everything you're doing right now is right and is the best for you in order to move forward. And that's the goal, is just to keep moving forward in this time. So I appreciate you guys. And if no one is telling you that we're proud and we're excited about your future, and you know you've heard it from here, from myself, from everyone on this panel, because you are already a champion. And we're excited to see how you come out on the other side of all of this.
Awesome. Thank you, Zara. Absolutely. The idea that, in fact, all of our student athletes, I would say across America, that have made progress, they've earned the badge. They've earned the COVID-19, I crushed it and I kicked it to its rear badge, and they should continue to earn that badge going forward. Thank you so much. All of you are powerful panelists who've come from all walks of life, and each of you have this idea of grit that is all baked inside of your life experiences. And there are things that level the playing field for all of the kids across America that we want to make a positive impact for. So all of you listening, if you want to learn a little more about Athlete Foundry and our platform and how it can inspire and empower you, no matter what the situation, in school, out of school, in season, off season, does not matter. Progress must and can and will happen. Absolutely can, no matter what situation you're in. Please go to athletefoundry.com to learn more, and stay tuned for the next event. This concludes our fall 2020 our thought leader youth athletics panel. We'll be having more every semester, and we hope that you join us then. Everyone have a wonderful rest of the day, and that concludes our call. Thank you, everyone.